Hi there, and welcome back to the channel, whether you're watching it on Matter of Britain or Britain's Hidden History. We're joined today by a special guest, Steve Willetts, who
Yeah, Steve's just given us a absolutely fantastic talk, which you are about to see yourselves. Uh, we start with the story of Hen Wen and see how that leads us to the Southeast Wales zodiac, which Steve has been working on, following some inspiration from Wilson and Blackett. So, Steve, you first came across this in Wilson and Blackett's Ark of the Covenant book. When was the first time you came across that book, and how did it fall in your lap, so to speak?
Well, it started before I got that book. That was a difficult book to find.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, I had just been away for 3 months on a silent meditation course, believe it or not.
all right.
And at the end of it, I came back, thought, I want to write a book on Wales. No idea what it'd be. And I came back and I just started Googling stuff. And the first thing that came up was Wilson and Blackett's work. And
Oh,
I was
right,
so not Googling, YouTube in. And I started watching some, and what, around here, that's down the street from me. I mean, I've lived in the valleys all my life, never knew any of the real history. I thought King Arthur was in England somewhere, not, he could have been around here. Um, he could still have been in England, I don't know, but when the stories was telling, and then the stories of the star map and all these different saints, and I said, I mean, I can see half of this from my house.
yeah,
I
yeah.
never knew it existed. In fact, I never knew. To be honest, I wasn't interested in history at all. The only history I ever got taught is in school about kings and queens' names and stuff that you don't really enjoy as a child.
No.
And but because it was related to everywhere, and basically I ended up being in the centre of it all, of the star map, right in bang in the middle. But I got fascinated and hooked pretty quickly, and then I think, well, one of the first videos I watched was the episode on Richard Hall over in Garnderfyth. And I thought, I mean, is that ancient around here? I mean, I know the pits and the mines and all that type of history, but yeah, it was an eye opener for me because like I said, I was never interested. And then through Wilson and Blackett's work, I got hooked in a way. Yeah,
Yeah. So did the zodiac in particular interest you because you were geographically placed right in it? You know, is that why that element of Wilson and Blackett really grabbed you?
Yeah, because and I when I was younger, I always used to go up from my house. I could walk 20 meters. I'm on a mountain, and I used to lie down as a kid, just looking up, watching the stars and that. So I've always been interested in the stars anyway, without having any formal knowledge as such. And but yeah, that's what got me into buying the Ark of the Covenant, because there's always these little bits that were teased here and there, and I thought, well, I want to know we're all now.
Yeah. They do
so,
that, don't they? They just drop little bits in, don't they?
Yeah. But when I went through the Ark of the Covenant, then I quickly realised that it wasn't a completed star map. They'd only sort of found but they had done enough to say, look, it's here. And then they were moving. They were off onto the other big discovery then.
Yeah.
But I can remember.
But I was going to say, I think doesn't Alan Wilson even say, look, we've got this, but it's just too much for us considering how much else we've got on. Someone else needs to come and do this, you know.
I'm not sure he's being interviewed by, and he said, "Yeah, we need somebody to take her over." And so I thought I'd give her a go. And needless to say, it's coming up to 6 years, I should imagine now. It's definitely 5, possibly 6 years now, and I still haven't got it out.
Well, you've done a great job for us today, and we're hoping to do some more in future as well.
But what I think, but by the time you see more and more and more, I think by the end of it, I think what I've done is prove Wilson and Blackett 100% correct, that there is a star map here, and it is from that time period.
Absolutely, and we'll get into what the time period is in a minute. So I first came across your work on the Britain's Hidden History show. You had a couple of interviews with Ross, or just the one, was it?
I've been on some of the site visits, and
that's right. Yeah. So, and I just wanted to see what memories you had of speaking with Ross and your site visits. And...
it's loads of fun, and it wasn't just me and Ross. It was a gang of us normally. Tim was there as well.
Of course.
Yeah, Andrew was there. The boys were there. Tim's wife and whatever. But and Bob Morgan as well. Trudging up and down mountains looking for a little lump on the ground.
Brilliant. Sounds like a great time to me, to be honest. It's pretty much all I do most of the time.
Yeah. It's good fun.
That's fantastic.
But, even when he said I've gone over his house once, been done into God, we were over there for hours. It's only supposed to be a quick one to get it out the same day.
Yeah, I bet once you got him going, I bet he just didn't want to. I bet he just wanted to keep on going.
Yeah. Well, I done. I said I got a couple of hours yet. Gonna do the next bit and the next bit, or all of it.
Oh, brilliant!
His enthusiasm was unmatched. I think.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Yes, I mean, he was helping me write this book, and we started off and obviously he passed away, but it was his energy that kept me going. There's a couple of times when I thought I've had enough of this day. Oh no. And you go and you G you up, and then we
absolutely. And I think me and Adam have said the same thing about doing these videos, is that if it wasn't for his entreaties, to people saying look, we all need to do this, we wouldn't have started doing the channel. So we really are greatly indebted to him for that.
Well, that's it. I joined right in the early days of Britain's Hidden History, not knowing what I was getting myself in for.
Same here.
Yeah, but I couldn't have done anything that I've done without, first of all, even all the members are putting stuff on the Facebook page. You go, right, that might be a good idea. Oh, well, possibly that. And they point out something totally unrelated, and it just triggers something, and you go, and then obviously Ross setting it up. If he hadn't set it up, I wouldn't have done any of this, because I wouldn't have found all this information and people who could have helped or whatever.
Yeah. And I think what you've done has been an incredible contribution, and is going to be also hopefully a springboard for other people into understanding this stuff, not just for their own benefit, but hopefully for all of us in possibly learning more and digging up more of the details. And
but as even though I'm still writing this book, I don't know how long it's going to take me, because I've never written a book in my life, so it's like, oh no, I've got to do that as well. But I'm still going to start releasing the information. I think it's about time now. I can't keep it to myself for any longer. I need to start getting somewhere out there.
Well, it's an absolute honor to be able to help you get it out there. And I'm really excited to see how this will develop in hopefully some oncoming episodes. But for now, we'll get started with Hen Wen, and I hope everyone home enjoys.
Enjoy.
Let's go.
The main thing that I'll be going over today is, as you can see on the screen, the story of Hen Wen. I've just put on the front screen. These are just the references, but I've got this information from. So this story of Hen Wen is basically a story of an ancient pig or ancient swine. And what I'm going to be trying to do is trying to tie that into the constellations or the star map. So that will end up being towards the end. Hen Wen comes in later. We'll have to go through some details first before that. But like I said, the main thing is to try and tie in this story into the star map.
Mm-hmm.
So those references you can see is a couple of Wilson and Blackett reference. Either what the main one was a discovery of the Ark of the Covenant.
Of course,
yeah. That's basically that's the one that has got the star map in it, or the beginnings of it. Then, so I thought I'd just sort of try and work it all out, and then all the other information. The other main one is Babylonian style, though, is sort of a nice introduction to the subject in an easier read than an academic source.
It's a bit more accessible.
Right.
Yeah, a bit more accessible. It's well referenced, so yeah. So
that's great, because I know our watchers are keen on references and things like that. So it's good to see that right at the beginning, to have that there, people to look at.
So these are the well, in fact, I think these are the only references that the only sources I've used.
Cool.
Towards the bottom, you got the GPC, the online dictionary of Welsh language.
Mm-hmm.
That's essential. You can't do it with an old dictionary. Even if it's 15, whatever. It's just a lot of the words are not, a lot of the alternative meanings are not in them, in these old dictionaries. But what the GPC does, what I think they do anyway, is they take all the old texts, Welsh texts, and then go through them and see where these words are used, and then work out what that meaning would be, which are not always in the later dictionaries. So it's an essential tool for what I'm doing, because I need to try and get the meanings of words as far back as possible. So that was an essential one as well. But yeah, so those are the main points on that page. And you've also got astral sciences in Mesopotamia. Mm-hmm. Basically gone through all these Mesopotamian, Babylonian star lists, what have you. And they try to work out which star is which constellations, which stars are in which constellations, and because some of the stars are named and which star is which. So that's another essential one. But yeah, we go through this as we go along anyway.
Cool.
So the first slide then, this is from Wilson and Blackett, the Trojan Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about the migrations. And this is not a presentation about the migrations, but is what I'm trying to show with this is that, for people who were new to the subject, is that there were already migrations that Wilson and Blackett pointed out from, I don't know if you can see it, the Kingdom of Ur on there.
Yeah.
So that's in Babylonia. So you got the Kingdom of Ur down there, and you got the migration coming into Britain. And the story of Hen Wen, then, you could say, starts in Cornwall, and possibly one of these migrations. Now, as I'll explain later, it's not, you can't be certain. You can't be certain if this tale is linked to the Kingdom of Ur. But what I'm trying to do is put information on to show that some of this knowledge has come across.
Of course.
Great, yeah.
Providing a historical context, or possible historical context.
Yeah, and then one of the main reasons why I showed this, if you look at the writing on the top right-hand corner, you've got the Great Chaldean migrations. Now you got Albion there, or Albine, from Ur to Britain in around 1700 BC, 1700 BC, and then Brutus around 500 BC. So the dates are important, because I didn't know who built the star map. So I was trying to put into context of either is it the earlier one or the later one?
Yeah.
And you start to get, in this presentation, you'll get towards the end an idea that it might be one and not the other. But at this point, it won't be conclusive until more is added onto it.
Exciting.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right. So this is a story of Hen Wen. And this was, well, they don't know when it's written. It's so old that they don't know when this would have been written. So I'm going to be trying to tie this in to one of the migrations, which shows the age of it then. So I'm not going to be given, the story is more than what I've been showing today. I'm only showing you the bits that are relevant from this perspective of this star map in Southeast Wales, because Hen Wen carries on her journey after coming to Southeast Wales. She goes west and then north.
Okay.
And there's also a mention of King Arthur and knights, etc. So the tale starts, it says, in Cornwall at a place called Glyndalthwyr. Now, you've got to forgive my Welsh pronunciation at the moment. I'm learning. I get it better. So if some of these pronunciations are not quite spot on. So anyway, it starts in Glyndalthwyr. Not sure where that is. I've looked at all the maps down in Cornwall. Can't find that location.
I had a quick look as well. And although like Dol, D-O-L, is quite a recurring name in Cornwall and Brittany. Something that sort of looked more like that form. I wasn't too sure, but I did have a good search around after you sent me the presentation to have a look for that.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything that you could say that it definitely is like so.
Yeah.
So a hen wen then is a swine or a female pig. She's accompanied by Col, who's a swineherd, and he works for Dalswy Dalthben. Hen Wen is about to give birth, which, according to the legend or the myth or the story, it doesn't bode well for Britain. Whatever she gives birth to doesn't bode well, and the tale goes on that King Arthur and his knights gather to try and drive her out.
Okay.
Right.
So they chase then, Hen Wen and Col, and chase from Cornwall to a place called Penryn Awstyn. She dives into the sea, Col holding on to her. They make landfall then at Aberteirogi, at Gwent Coed, or Gwent below the wood, which Gwent, there's a place there, I'll go into a minute, but Wentwood Forest, or which would possibly Gwent, because when you mutate words in Welsh, sometimes the G is dropped and then you just have Went. So Wentwood could be Gwentwood Forest.
Yeah.
And then she reaches the foothills of Mynydd Llwyd, lies down and gives birth to a bee and a grain of wheat at Maes Gwynedd. Now, that could imply they brought farming to the area. But for what we're doing, that's not important as such. There is a place called Maes Gwynedd. Mynydd Llwyd is up on the hills and Maes Gwynedd is down in the lowlands. But the foothills would be somewhere in between, then I would suggest.
Okay.
So, right. So this is the part. I've got more detail than this, but we'll just go through this for a moment. So right at the bottom, I've marked it down in the bottom. It could be anywhere in Cornwall.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. So then Hen Wen follows the path up to Penryn Awstyn, which could be Ost Cliffs. Now, I don't know if you know the old Severn Bridge, and they had the Ost services right at the end on the one end, and then there is a set of cliffs there. So the path
Okay.
Yeah.
There is a Penryn near Falmouth in Cornwall as well,
All right. Yeah.
but I've never seen a Ost or Austin name
Yeah.
associated with that. But just as a point of interest.
Yeah. That might be worth looking at.
Definitely.
Yeah. Then, like I said before, Hen Wen crosses the River Severn with Colth holding onto her, and ends up at Abertaurogi. Now, on old maps, on the new maps, you can't see it, but on old Ordnance Survey maps, there is a Trogi brook, and that's near Port Skewitt on the Welsh side of the River Severn.
Nice.
It's only a little small brook, and I think it's in Port Skewitt where Wilson and Blackett found it's sort of like remains of a port or something going out into the sea.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
It does. Yeah, Port Skewitt does ring a bell. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it could be somewhere around there that they came ashore on the other side. So Gwentis Coy, which is Gwent below the wood, which could be Gwentwood forest. Now he says that she skirts around that forest, which means it would have gone south of it, and then eventually laid down to give birth on the foothills of Mynydd Llwyd. So Mynydd Llwyd is not far from Cwmbran, that area, up in the mountains. In fact, it's not far from Tumbalum Hillfort.
Oh, right.
Okay.
So you got Tumbalum Hillfort on the one end, and up, it's probably about a couple of miles on the same mountain, follow the mountain over the top, and you get to Mynydd Llwyd.
Okay.
Yeah. So, are you okay with that minute, or yeah?
Yeah. No, that's great. I'm following. Yeah.
You can see I'm not used to doing these, but there we are.
No, that's all right. No worries.
That's going well. Yeah.
We'll jump if there's anything that we're confused about. I will definitely jump in. So don't worry about that. No, you keep going. This is great.
Right. So, what I try to do then is the characters within the story, because Wilson and Blackett, well, what I found was fascinating when I first heard them do this. They get these old texts and then they try and translate the characters' names and the place names and try to get information out of them. And I thought, I've lived in Wales all my life, and I'd never have thought of doing it. And what does that word really mean by breaking it down?
Yeah.
So I started doing that, and you're surprised how much information you sort of get out of the words.
Absolutely.
So anyway,
it's always absolutely fascinating me. You know, you can just seem to be able to pull even more information out. It's just absolutely fantastic. Yeah,
because I honestly think that I can't speak for any other part of Wales, just this one area in southeast Wales. I think it's just a giant manuscript telling all these stories.
Yes. Yeah.
And then and whether people went from place to place learning the stories, because there's an ideal starting point. And then, like Wilson and Blackett said, it's a circular zodiac.
Yeah.
So you start this is going off topic side, but you start at a certain point in Babylonian sort of the view of the heavens. You have these two constellations, the bow and the arrow, which could be pointing the starting point in the direction to go. And then if you follow the landscape, you follow that. The one hill goes west to east. Then the rivers goes south to north. Then the mountain up the top goes east to west, and then the other rivers come down north to south. So it forms like a circular sort of shape, and you could sort of see how we could possibly go to the middle, and in the middle is lower than the surrounding hills.
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
I had a look at because you mentioned this to Ross when you had your chat with him. And I had a quick look on the Google Earth, and it almost seems like a giant amphitheater.
Yeah,
Say you've got
Yeah.
this sort of level area in the center, and then or leveler, and with sort of foothills getting a bit higher, and then the mountains around in a circle around the outside.
I mean, I'm not saying they shaped all the mountains, but they used them.
But it's perfect. Yeah, it is a perfect sort of natural viewing spot, or astronomy area. You know, it's something they regularly say about the Stonehenge landscape is ideal for viewing stars and things like that. So
you need a fairly flat. You need a good line of sight. Then is probably the best
absolutely,
way of describing it.
Yeah,
because if you're going to build something over, this could be 40 to 50 miles in diameter. If you're going to build something over that distance, then you're going to have you'll need good line of sight.
Yes, absolutely.
So yeah, it doesn't have to be from one end to the other, but you need to be able to see point to point to point to point.
Point to point, yeah, absolutely. When you're at one point, you need to be able to see your nearby ones, and then from there moving on. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because when you're on the top of the valleys, it's like one big plain. Sometimes you don't even know the valleys are there. You can just see straight across.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, and it's there are no trees on them, so to block the views.
Yeah. There's always interesting things under the trees as well.
Yeah, not just trees as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, anyway, yeah. So Hen Wen, a white sow, female swine. Hen just meaning old or ancient.
Yeah.
Now, Wen is the mutated form of Gwen. In the Welsh language, certain words can be mutated. In this case, if there's a G, then that G can be dropped. So Gwen would, so if you went to a dictionary and tried to find the word Wen for this meaning, you'd have to look up Gwen.
Right.
Yeah. So
that GW mutation is very common, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
So Gwen then means fair maiden, smile, or figuratively a ray of sunshine. So the white bit, I think that comes from because Gwen is the feminine version of Gwyn, and Gwyn can mean white. So I think that's where that white comes from.
Oh, okay.
So then you got Glyn Dalsby or Dalsby Dalsben. So Dalth means blind or unseeing.
Okay.
And I'm not sure to pronounce that word, but it can mean grandchild or, importantly for us, descendant. And then Ben or Pen is head, chief, leader, lord, ruler itself, etc.
Yeah.
So then Colth itself means lost, missing, or astray. So with these words that we have so far, you can sort of see that because the Dalth bit means blind and seeing, or somebody who hasn't been seen for a while, Colth means lost. You have the descendant for them from the Ur bit, which could then possibly mean that it could be indicating that Albain and the followers who you haven't seen, been lost, unseen, they've been somewhere else, they're descendants, which means they must have been British or at some stage.
Yeah.
To be a descendant, you must be related in some way. So if they're coming back from wherever they've been, where have they been?
Yeah. And that gives that double meaning for the blind to see.
Yeah.
Or unseeing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they haven't seen each other. They're lost, missing, astray. So it doesn't mean to say they've come from Babylonian. It doesn't mean to say it's Albain. It's just that whoever these people are, they're descendants of Britain, and they've come back from somewhere.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I did then is try to see if I could find any stories then in Sumeria, Babylonia, and it was straightforward to find them, about people arriving there from somewhere else. So if these people from Britain left here, possibly went to Babylonia, are there stories of people arriving there from somewhere which they don't know where?
Yeah, look at the other end of it.
Yeah, so I thought I'd look at the other end and see if there was anything that you could possibly say, well, these people have arrived here from somewhere, but have they come from this area? So there's a character called Owanes, and he was one of the what are known as, I'm not sure about how to pronounce this. This is an Akkadian word, Apkalu, I'm going to say. So
say it with confidence. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Apkalu.
That's it.
That's
what it is now.
Yeah.
So Owanes or Uana, I think Uana is the Sumerian.
Right.
So these people arrived in Sumeria, and the Apkalu were known as wise. Well, Apkalu means wise or sage, and the first one was Owanes. So what I've done, I've just added Berosus into the mix for a moment. He was writing, I think, in about the 3rd century BC, somewhere around there, during the Hellenistic period. If I remember right, that might not be quite right, but anyway. Now, there are issues in academia with Berosus and his account, but I've put it in here just to demonstrate that people have arrived there. Now, this is not a first-hand account from Berosus. He wasn't alive at the time.
No.
So this would have been the stories that are being told there. So there's a couple of reasons why I put this in. First of all, to show that there was a group of people who arrived there. It doesn't say where they come from. And then just to try and show that there's a connection. I've got quite a few of these words where you can translate the Sumerian or the Akkadian using phonetic Welsh and you get the same meaning.
Right. Fantastic.
So the first one would be the Apkalu. So Berosus basically said there's when Owanes arrived and the Apkalu arrived in Sumeria, there was no civilization there, basically. They say that the people lived just like animals. I don't like terms like that. They were people. They just had a different type of lifestyle. And he goes on to describe this people, the Apkalu and Owanes. So I'll just read this and make it easier. So basically, in the very first year, they appeared from the Red Sea in an area bordering on Babylonia, a frightening monster named Owanes. Now, I'm not sure why they call him a frightening monster, because he brought civilization there. So he said it had a whole body of a fish, but underneath and attached to the head of the fish was another head, human, and joined to the tail of the fish, feet like those of a man, and it had a human voice. Now, there are a lot of interpretations of this, but I just think it is a man. I know he's got all the descriptions of the man. He might just be wearing some kind of garment.
Wearing a Pope's hat.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Pope's hat and a gown.
That's it.
And the thing is, though, they said they're a body of a fish. Well, a fish has scales. Armor has scales in a way.
Yeah. I was thinking about that. Yeah.
So it could be some kind of just outfit. And so Amy said that the Berosus says that this monster spent its days with men, never eating anything, but teaching men the skills necessary for writing, mathematics, all sorts of knowledge, how to build cities, found temples, and to make laws. Basically, it taught men how to determine borders and divide land, also how to plant seeds, and then to harvest their fruits and vegetables. in short, it taught men all those things conducive to a settled and civilized life.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I said, I can't see why you would call her a frightening monster. Because it looks like these people, these wise ones, these wise sages, have turned up there and taught them everything for a civilization. So I'm not sure where the frightening monster bit comes from, but that's what he states anyway.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell if that's from an original source or whether Barros has put it in himself, or
that's it. Yeah. But I mean, you get the idea. Basically, there's an idea that from the sea, a group of people arrived, but they don't know where from. They don't say where these people came from. Just like Hen Wen, they disappeared, lost, missing, astray. Don't know where. So the idea, are these two stories linked in any way? So anyway, the Apcalu, if you break that down into phonetic Welsh, we have Ap, which is son of, and Cal is spelled with a K, but there's no K in Welsh, so it'd be a C. Pronounced Calth. So Ap Calth would be wise discerning. So Ap Calth would then mean sons of the wise, or something like that.
Which is very fitting.
Which is very fitting for the Akkadian, means wise or sage.
Very fitting with the story, so it's brilliant. Fantastic. Love that.
So I've put this in as well, because I'm going to be trying to introduce a number of ideas as well. So I put this in only for a couple of reasons. So there's a character, Dagon or Dagon. Dagon is the Sumerian, so we'll just look at the Sumerian version. So I got this from Wikipedia, one of the best places in the world.
It's a good start.
It is.
It is. I mean, it's not something I'm really looking at, but I put this in just to show something, then to show,
yeah.
So basically, originally, this Dagon or Dagon, they thought was one of the Abkhalti, apart from Oannes, was another one called Odagon. So he was also half fish or a person that Oannes was. And they thought originally that Dagon or Dagons was one of the Apkalu.
Right.
So when they saw these fishmen motifs, they put it down to Dagon or Dagon. Later on, they believe those are just depictions of a different creature then.
Okay.
Yeah. But what I find interesting then is when you translate the Dagan, with the Sumerian, into phonetic Welsh, you have Da meaning good, beneficial, holy, blessed, and Gan, which you won't find in the dictionary. You would need like the GPC to get these definitions. It's got two basic meanings, and you go with or together with, and also scale of a fish.
Yeah.
So
it's brilliant, isn't it?
So then you've got to start thinking, well, is this Dagon? Is he actually represented as one of these fish characters? Because the Welsh is saying that he could well be.
Yeah. Fantastic.
So what I wanted to point out here, I'll show a couple more examples. But the Gan, in Welsh, you've got a lot of dual words. Words with double meanings, sometimes 3, sometimes 4 meanings. And they don't always make any sense why those words with the same word, the same pronunciation would be, why that word would have like 3 meanings, 4 meanings. So what I started doing then is thinking, well, maybe they're not just separate meanings. Maybe it's one meaning. If you add the meanings together, add them together, and they give you a fuller meaning.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say is, you can then start making sentences then out of these different meanings. And,
Yeah,
and
no,
maybe,
that totally makes sense. I think that makes sense to me, and you do wonder if at some point there is some other sort of semantic meaning missing, which might link the two ideas together that we're now missing now, or something like that. I think that's a possibility.
Yeah. So then,
yeah, that's fascinating.
So if you do add the two words for gan together, you could have together with the scale of a fish, rather than treat them as two separate words, two separate meanings. Treat them as one meaning, as one sentence. I can't say for certain, but it could have been a point in the past where gan meant together with the scale of a fish, and then as you're going through time, it's then split, and sometimes they use it meaning together with, sometimes they use a scale of a fish, and then scale of a fish at some point gets dropped. But the original meaning might have meant together with the scale of a fish.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
So then you'd have then the god with the scale of a fish, because the first part, the good, beneficial, holy, blessed, that's the god bit.
God, yeah.
And then you could have the god with the scale of a fish, which would mean which points then to that the original idea of Dagon or Dagon being a fish character might still be correct.
That's fantastic.
That's really good.
Go to the right. So this is a summary of what we've done so far. Just a quick overview. Firstly, that story of Berosus shows that civilization didn't start in Mesopotamia, because Oannes and the Apkallu, when they came to the Red Sea, they taught the people who lived there civilization, or everything to lead a civilized life. So it wasn't originally there, but was imported then from an outside source by the Apkallu. Where from? I can't be certain.
It's the $1 million question.
Yeah,
it is.
The further you go, sometimes the more uncertainties that there are.
Yeah.
Well, this is where you get into Graham Hancock and his lost civilization, and Atlantis ideas, and there's various civilizing gods all throughout the world.
What comes to mind for me is when Hugh Evans talks about Cadir Idris being the seat of Enoch, and what Enoch represents, and all of those kind of his dissemination of information to do with agriculture, to do with knowledge of the stars, to do all these civilization things. So I thought that's what came to mind for me.
Yeah. It's I can't say it, like I say, I can't say at the moment whether these two stories are linked, but I'm putting them there to pose a question then, in a way.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So then, secondly, this fishman Apkallu, I like to try and find simpler ideas, simpler explanations, as simple as possible if I can. I just think what they were depicting with these fish costumes is just saying that, well, they came from the sea, as an arrived by ship.
Yeah.
Again, I can't be certain again of that, but that would be what I would suggest, that they simply arrived by sea. And then
I mean, if you've never seen an ocean going vessel before, and then you first see one, I mean, how do you go about describing that experience of seeing an ocean going vessel if you've got no previous understanding of what that could possibly be?
That's it. Yeah. Yeah, it would be like seeing a UFO then. If a UFO did land, it would be
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people just wouldn't know how to describe it.
Yeah. Right, so we have then Dalsby, or the unseen descendants, suggesting at some point The people of the island of Britain left these shores to an unknown destination and may have been astray calls then for generations. So basically, what I'm trying to say here is, are these two stories linked? And has there been any transfer of knowledge from Babylonia to Southeast Wales? So that's the main idea I'm trying to get forward is, has this knowledge come from Babylonia to Southeast Wales? And going through the star map, that it appears to be, but I let people make up their own minds on it. But if you look at, say, the Dendra zodiac, the Greek zodiac, or what have you, the only one that fits really well is the Babylonian one.
Yeah.
So you'll have parts of the other because there is some crossover, but the one that seems to fit is the Babylonian star map.
And what sort of era are we talking for Babylon?
I get my Sumerians, Akkadians, and Babylonians mixed up, so I just need a bit of a.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember the exact dates.
I can have a Google as well.
Yeah, that might be a better idea.
just to say a completely random number. Babylonian civilization. Here we go. Yeah, it emerged around 1800, 1900 BC. It started emerging, according to Wikipedia. That is, anyway.
I will say this as well. I might sometimes use the word Babylonia as a catch-all term.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, cool.
That's
fine. Yeah.
So it could be Sumerian, it could be Babylonian, it could be whatever. But yeah,
I don't think you're the first or last person to do that, Steve. So
no. Okay, so we just go into a bit more depth for Corth now, the swine herd. So we got two triads, and this is in Triodd and Ysbrydain, Rachel Bromwich version. So I'm just going to look at Triad 26 and Triad 27. So Triad 26 states 3 powerful swineherds of the island of Britain. And then it lists the 3 of them, which is Drystan, son of Tathoch, Pryderi, son of Pwll, and Corth, son of Corfri. And then you got Triad 27, he's got 3 enchanters of the island of Britain. Again, Corth, there's a Corth, son of Corfri, Menw, son of Turgwaith, and Drach, son of Kibzar. I think that's how they pronounced it.
I think you did bloody well there, to be honest.
So what you can sort of say about those two descriptions is that a swineherd is both powerful and an enchanter, or a modern term would be druid.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So.
Yes.
Yeah. So on Mary Jones's, and I just randomly looked at the footnotes on this. She's got an article on her website about Corth, and I just put the notes in the bottom, which is something I didn't realize. It just gives an example then of Corth being a swineherd, where Mathalwch goes to his swinehers for advice. But what's interesting, she puts here, is to note that the term druid never appears in the Mabinogion. And I didn't realize that until I actually read it. And I thought, oh my word,
Yeah.
It was like a...
Yeah. Eureka moment.
Brilliant.
But it said the word swineherd often does. And she goes on to describe that as similar position being held as that of the Druids in the Irish Trails. But what I found interesting that this word swineherd is in the Mabinogion or the Mabinogi, but Druid isn't.
Brilliant.
So anyway, we got this idea now that Corth is some kind of priest, some kind of druid. It's like swineherd. It could be something like a shepherd, like the shepherd of men, because shepherd is just sheep herd.
Well, yeah, that's what sprung to mind in terms of a religious a priest tending his flock or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So the question then be, why swineherd? Why swine or why swineherd? So, Gavin White, like I said, he explains things in a non-academic way, then you could say. So basically he says that in astrology, the swine is sometimes used as a name for Jupiter. And this is in Babylonian star law. So the Babylonians would sometimes, instead of using the word Jupiter, they would use the word swine then. Marduk himself, which is one of the preeminent gods of Babylonia, he basically took over the role of Enlil at some point. He became the patron god of Babylon. But he is also associated with the planet Jupiter. And then, interestingly, you got Marduk is famous for having the celestial thunderbolt, cosmic lightning. Jupiter also, in the Roman pantheon, he has the cosmic lightning bolt. So there's a connection then between Marduk and Jupiter. He may have well even just represented the planet itself. So then, since Albion then was from Babylonia, because the kingdom of Ur was in Babylonia, you could then sort of say that the swineherd could be a sorcerer priest of Marduk, or a powerful enchanter. And so this next bit is Mary Jones, and she goes on to say that basically this swineherd were either magicians or priests or the likes, or an offspring of a god or goddess.
And I mean, magician priest is an ideal term for druid as well, isn't it? I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So
somewhere in between the two,
Yeah. So you basically got this character called, who could be a priest, or even a Chaldean, because they were sort of like priests of what's the word? Oh, I can't think now, but you could even say the Chaldeans were a subset of the Babylonians in some ways, and they were like But anyway, what's important for this part is that in Babylonian astronomy, there's a constellation called the swine. And then, like I said, I've been trying to tie this into the star map. So what is significant? Mynydd Lloyd, where Hen Wen laid down to give birth, that spot is the location of the constellation of the swine. So Hen Wen, being a swine, lays down in the constellation of the swine.
Fantastic.
So can I ask, Steve, had you already identified the swine constellation before you then went back and looked at the Hen Wen story, or is this something that sort of emerged at the same time, or did the Hen Wen story lead you to the swine constellation? Or
I had the star map, the physical location of maybe 80 of the stars. Quite a while back. So I've just been trying to find the connections and try and put as much evidence as I can into this. So I knew 2 possible locations then where the swine could be. I'll go on one of the other slides. I'll go into that a bit.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm jumping ahead, don't worry.
No, that's okay.
Tell me to shut up, and we'll get on with it.
But one of the possibilities was the swine is the constellation of Delphinus, which is not too far away, and that would be in the sort of the Pontypool area, New Inn.
Right.
But when I searched, I couldn't find anything. But then there's another source which said that one of the stars was in Andromeda and one was in Lacerta. So I looked in that location, and then I found enough there to say, yeah, this is going to be the constellation of the swine.
Right. Okay. You actually had the physical and place name evidence in that spot.
Yeah. So I've got the one star. I definitely know where it is, because when you overlay the star map, it's bang on target. like most of them are.
Yeah. Wow.
The other one, there's a farm name which implies it's there, and I know where the star should be. I haven't found anything yet, but there is a field down there called Kai Main, which means field stone. So there may be a stone where the star would be marking it.
Right. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
So that's another journey up to Tumbalan way at some point.
Yeah.
Do you ever worry when you see these things fall in fields that it could just be ploughed out or cleared? And
Yeah. But I've got enough. Most of them are marked by canes or tumuli.
yeah, which is too much for a farmer to move.
Yeah. Some of them are not. Some of them have just got a damn big stone there.
Cool. Right.
Yeah, because I was looking for one of the stars of Ursa Major, and I knew where it should be, but there was nothing on any maps. I couldn't find anything at all, but the farm name sort of indicated it could be something there.
All right.
So I went there, couldn't find anything. They would, because it's on a ridge, there was a lot of ridge stones there, so you couldn't say that that's definitely anything. But then I looked over, just happened to glance over the farmer's wall, and in amongst the trees is this big lump of a stone there on his own, right where it should be. And when I say right where it should be, within 30 meters where I predicted it'd be.
Oh wow,
that's brilliant. That's amazing.
I mean, it was a 12-mile round walk, mine, but
did you find it right at the end of your walk as well?
Well, no, I knew I was going, so I walked there.
Oh, of course, yeah,
back.
you had your position marked. Yeah. God, oh wow. Oh, at least you didn't come back empty-handed.
Yeah.
At one point, I thought I was.
Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
And it's only because I looked over this wall. I just looked. I thought that looks strange. So looked over the wall. Oh, it's a damn stone.
Brilliant.
I mean, it's probably about 4 feet tall, 5 feet long, and about 2 to 3 foot wide ish.
Oh wow! So
it's a big lump of stone.
Quite a block, yeah.
Yeah. It's probably why the farmer never moved it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Mynydd Llwyd. So this is where the foothills of Mynydd Llwyd is where Hen Wen lay down. But I'm going to suggest, like we did with the word gan, and you got two different meanings, add them together. I'm also going to try and do it with this as well. So Llwyd in Welsh generally means grey. And day-to-day use, people just use it to describe grey.
Mm-hmm.
It can also mean faint or pale, and it can also mean holy or blessed. So the grey and the faint and pale, you could say, yeah, they're similar. You could see why they, but then you got holy blessed, which why would the same word mean that as well?
Mm-hmm.
So this quote here from Eric Arena in Astronomy Magic in Babylonia, it's a key concept that needs to be understood of how the Babylonians treated the stars.
Mm.
So basically, they prayed to the stars quite often.
Right.
And they'd use the stars, instead of us praying to a saint, asking for help, they would do the same thing to a star. They would even get beer, for example, infuse it with herbs or whatever, put it out in front of a star, so it imbibes the energy from the star, and then you drink, and then you become. So they treated these stars as quite holy then, when you look at it.
Yeah.
So they weren't just like pinpoints of light; they were revered in a way.
Yeah.
Mm. Do you think, just like a saint, you would go to a different star for a different purpose? You know, if you were having health issues, you'd go to one star. If it was something to do with
Health
your home,
issues is what I can understand is health issues. You would go to basically the star Vega.
Oh, right, okay, yeah,
which is in the Lyra constellation.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because Vega is always associated with a dog or dogs. And these dogs would take part in the healing service. So they would be part of the healing.
Oh, wow.
Fantastic.
So where the constellation of Gula is, or the she-goat, which is where Vega would be, on the opposite mountain, directly looking over this mountain, you have where the sitting dogs would be. And one of the mountains directly opposite is called the Aral, which means to care for, to look after.
Amazing.
So you got one mountain where the dogs are, where the sitting dogs are, overlooking the other mountain with the she-goat, taking part of in the healing process.
Yeah.
And you got this mountain name, which means to look after, to care for.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
it's like that. It's like that everywhere. That type of one mountain has got one thing, and the other mountain is related to it.
Yeah, and it paints a bigger picture. The more, you know, more ideas you've got. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually read a really interesting paper recently about the use of dogs for caring for women in childbirth in prehistoric times. Yeah, and I reckon that they've got lots of like very old like Mesolithic stuff. Where you'll have like a pregnant female seated with dogs either side of her. So that's what immediately jumped to mind when I saw that. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So back to Mynydd Lloyd. So what you could say then is this word Lloyd could mean holy star, with the first meaning, which has got grey, but the faint pale bit could describe the physical light. Even though you could look out and go, oh my God, that's a bright star, compared to the sun or a campfire, they just pinpoints of light. They are pale or faint.
No, I've definitely heard stars described as in a similar way in modern English. So
yeah,
that I don't think that's too much of a stretch at all, Steve.
No, and then the second meaning gives us function as an intermediary between a person and their god or gods or whatever. Because you could pray to the star to get to a god. Then, like we pray to a saint, and then God would help through that saint. So that was the idea. Because basically what happened, every time I thought, right, I need to find a star in this location. So I go to the location on maps generally, and I thought, right, then I can't see anything, but this word Lloyd would pop up time and time and time again. Not directly where it should be, but next to it, maybe 100 meters away or half a mile away. But you kept on repeating and repeating. I thought, does that mean anything? And then that's why I started looking at these different meanings and seeing if those meanings you could gain more on why this word Lloyd was always there. And then I remembered then that over in St. Gennydd, where the mini star map is, Wilson and Blackett discovered this mini star map, which basically describes how to use the bigger star map. And you got like a central point, and you go through these different canes to different constellations. Well, a couple of the canes there are actually got the word Lloyd attached to them.
Right. Okay.
So in this upper St. Gennydd, where there's this mini star map, you have these names here. So one of them is Carnes Lloyd or Lloyd, which, if you use the way I'm translating it, would mean star king. The Carnes with king and the Lloyd's Lloyd, or holy star king. Then you have Carnesi Lloydian, which is the plural, kings of the stars.
Right.
But then you also have, in that day, you have Kevin's Lloyd. So in general use, if somebody saw Kevin's Lloyd, you just go Grey Ridge or Back Ridge. But Kevin itself can mean back, as in some kind of support, a ridge, and it can mean middle or center. So if you then add the meanings of Lloyd and Kevin together, you could then get the supporting ridge at the center of the holy stars. So going from Grey Ridge, you now have this basically a sentence. And I got a map next. So if you look at the numbers, number 1, you have Carnes Lloyd or Carnes Lloyd.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Carnedi Lloydian. And then Kevin Lloyd, which is a ridge right in the center of the star map of this mini one. See, I've circled the cairns.
Yes, yeah, can see them, yeah.
So if you look at the cairns, right in the middle, you have this central supporting ridge for the stars.
Huh.
Brilliant.
That is fantastic. And I think just a note to our viewers, hopefully we'll have a chat with Steve in future about the mini St. Kenneth map, and hopefully pull that apart a bit more and have a bit of a look at a deeper map. Yeah. But this is great for now, Steve. This is fantastic.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So because then it makes sense. And what Wilson and Blackett were saying, that I think they had the Polaris Stone or the Central Stone near Craigheaven, and outside our farm there are some big stones there. So what the idea was that you go from there, and it basically translated the dream of, is it Ronabwi?
Yeah, dream of Ronab.
Yeah. With they play, is another word I struggle with, balls, is it?
Yeah, something like
that. Yeah.
Which is Wilson and Blackett has star knowledge, a game of star knowledge. And basically you have these different characters coming in and out. They come from different coloured tents and with different symbols on them. And the different colours, they say represent different directions. And the images on it would represent the constellation as such. So each time one of these players come out of this, one of these knights come out of there, it basically what I think they were trying to say is that you go from the central point in the direction of the colour, and then you get to the constellation.
Yeah, so they talk about the colours representing certain points on the zodiac.
Yeah.
As per heraldic colours, is that right? Is it heraldic colours represent certain directions? I think.
Oh, do they? I'm not sure about that.
I think that's where they. Yeah. I think that's where how they drew that together was from. Heraldic colours representing cardinal directions. I think.
Cardinal directions.
Yeah. Oh wow! So do you think so Kevin Lloyd, this ridge, you don't think that's necessarily a viewing platform?
Places. It does. I haven't looked at it for a while, so I wouldn't need to go back and have another look.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this word Lloyd, because normally in Welsh, for stars, for example, is Serin, and I think the star singular is Ser. But what I'm suggesting is this word Lloyd, way, way, way back when, could have actually represented the stars on the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not the physical star in the sky, which would be something different.
Okay. So a word that almost designates and represents star, but you wouldn't necessarily use it for.
No.
You use it for something representing a star rather than for a.
Yeah.
Yeah, star-like, something star-like, possibly, or yeah,
Well, yeah, they do represent.
yeah.
Because in this case, for example, of the star map, none of these canes are on the big star map. Then,
No.
yeah. So even though they got
Okay.
slided, just saying through this star cane is where you get to the real star and
To the real
constellation.
star. Yeah. Okay. Great. Can we just have a pause there?
Yeah.
All right. Let's nip to the left.
I'll have Oh. So now we're going to finally get to the constellation of the swine. Like I was saying, that Hen Wen lies down on the foothills of Mynydd Llwyd, and this would be where the constellation of the swine is. But where Mynydd Llwyd is, you've got, first of all, Gavin White basically stating that most commentators favour Delphinus, the dolphin. Now, that would be down the Pontypool New Inn area. But then Herman Angry and David Pingree in Astral Sciences in Mesopotamia, they were they put this in it, but it's basically, I don't know the guy's first name, but it's Koch 1995.
Okay.
They've got the pelvis of the pig as Alpha Lacerti, and the breast of the pig is Omicron Andromedae. So when they've gone through in that book, they've got body parts are represented by certain stars. So, like that arm is there, that part is there. So you can build up a picture. So when I looked at both areas, Delphinus, I tried to translate everything I could find in that area, and there's no mention of anything to do with the swine. So I thought, right then, well, I'll have a look in the other area, which is Alpha Lacerti and Omicron Andromedae.
Can I just ask, sorry, Steve, sorry to interrupt. Is Alpha Lacerti and Omicron Andromedae part of a modern Greco-Roman constellation that we might recognise, or are they sort of individual stars?
Oh, right, sorry. These are the individual stars. These are the modern
star names, yeah.
So so the constellation is Lacerta.
Is Lacerti, right, okay.
Oh,
I see, yes, okay.
Alpha Lacerti is the main star.
The main star of Lacerti with Omicron, yes, okay, I got that, yeah.
And then,
so we got a bit of Lacerti and a bit of Andromeda.
That's it,
right.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. By modern star maps, anyway.
But yeah. So that's where they had the swine is Alpha Lacerti and Omicron Andromedae. So I knew which stars to look for on the ground. So when you overlay a star map, you go, right, that star's there, that star's there. So I knew the two locations where I had to look. So this is not a zoomed in, a sort of bigger overview. So this new in the top right, I don't know if you can read my writing, it's got Delphinus.
Oh, yeah.
The one to the left I circle is Mynydd Llwyd. You'll notice that it's got Mynydd Main on there. Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
That mountain's got two names for some reason. One part is Mynydd Llwyd and the other part is Mynydd Main, which I'm not sure why. It may just be two different parts of it.
Yeah.
So, Alpha Lacerti is close to a farm called Pant Gwyn. I haven't got a cursor on my iPad, but I don't know if you can see Kevin Russog near the bottom circle.
Oh yeah, just above Cumcarn there.
Cumcarn, yeah. So it's
just above Cumcarn, yeah.
Yeah, it's to the right of there.
Okay.
So you got a rough location. I got a zoomed in map in a moment, and then you've got Omicron Andromedae, which is close to the hill fort in Tumbalam. That's where the breast of the pig is. And there you've got what's known as the Mynydd Henlly's Barrow Cemetery. Covlain has got an unknown date. So they don't know, they just got an unknown date for it. But I think it was megalithic portal, was it?
Yeah.
And they put down as a Neolithic Bronze Age cane.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
so the Bronze Age in Britain lasted until about, approximately 800 BC, as far as I. So if you go back to the two migrations, one in 1700 BC and one in 500 BC, you can sort of tentatively rule out the Brutus migration because the cane is older than when
Absolutely.
they arrived.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
So we got one way of sort of, possibly ruling out one, unless obviously the dates of the canes are wrong. And then at some point, I'll show you another presentation where you can. I've got it down to around 1400 BC where it could be the star map was built, but that's a possibility. You can't say it's definite, but it is a possible way of dating it by how the figures are drawn on the ground, if that makes sense.
Yes. Is that by linking it back to sort of dating the zodiac, essentially?
Well, I haven't put in here. Maybe I should have put this in here. I'll go on to something in a minute where, and I can't remember the date, so I'll just touch on it, where certain constellations fell out of use.
Yes, this is what I'm trying to get at.
Point, certain constellations fell out of use and another constellation took over that. So one of the constellations here fell out of use, which was, and then ended up being what's known as the Panther, or more accurately, the demon with a gaping mouth.
Cool name.
Which is an interesting point with that one. I just mentioned this quickly before we carry on.
Go for it.
The Panther, or the demon with the gaping mouth, depictions of this Panther then has got water flowing out of his mouth. And they don't know why this Panther would have water flowing out of his mouth. But there's one quote which was basically saying that the water from the Panther's mouth flows to the foot of the stag.
Right.
And nobody really knows what that means until you draw a star map over Britain, over this area, and where the Panther, the crown of the Panther would be, below it is a river, and that river follows down through the valley and ends up being at the foot of the stag.
Oh God, that's amazing.
Incredible.
So when you draw the stag, its feet are literally by the river, and the water flows down to the foot of the stag.
Beautiful. Yeah.
And what date did that constellation go out of favor? Do you know?
I off the top of my head, no.
I thought I might be pushing you on that one.
That'll be for another time.
Yeah, great. No, I look forward to it.
Yeah. Right. So we got a rough date now that is pre-800 BC. I've just put some of these dual meaning words in here, so I've just added them in again. But I've also added Gwyn, which also can mean holy, blessed, and sometimes the colours that are represented are actually the colours of the star. So you could have a Gongor or Concour representing a star, and that star's physical colour is red. So and then Gonlas, which is the blue cane, the star's colour is blue. So you got Gwyn, which can be white, and where Pant Gwyn is, oh, I got this right. I'm sure is a white colour. No, not. Leave that one.
No worries.
I don't want to say that's a white star when it's not, because I might be getting myself confused. I've written holy white star here, but leave that for a minute. Well, anyway,
I get what you're getting at, though. They match what the sort of light coming from those stars as we have identified them.
Yeah. And I got a funny feeling I shouldn't have put white star in there, because I got a funny feeling there's not actually a white star, but I'll have to check on that one. But Arfa and Garfa, the G's been dropped again. I'll show this on one of the maps in a minute. It can mean course, way, journey, but it also can mean herd or crowd. So it could mean the course of the crowd, the journey of the crowd, the path of the crowd. It could just be marking an old drover's road. Don't know, but because it's in relation to the constellation of the swine, and this is where the people came, it might be marking that as well.
Yes, yeah.
So I've gone through some of these. Right. So some of the words will come into use in a moment. So we've got coed, which means wood or trees. Moch in Welsh means swine or pig. And in the constellation of the swine, where it would be, you have coed a moch, which is the wood of the swine. So the field name is Caidamoch. That's probably a misspelling.
All right, okay.
Then you have, these are on the tide maps. So you have Coed, Gwyn, Pella. Now I can't find the word Pella, but there is a word Pell, which means far, far off, far away, distant, remote.
Right.
It could be indicating the people here, the course of journey of these people from far distant, far remote. And then you got Gwyn again there, but there are also other meanings to it, which can mean pain, ache, or pang, and rage and wrath. So trying to get all those to fit in one sentence is very difficult. So there's a farm there called Pandararfa, or the hollow or depression of the journey of the crowd. Pant Gwyn. Now I've written here the value of the white star. Maybe it is a white coloured star. I must have put it in there for a reason.
You seemed confident at some point, anyway.
yeah. So what is also with trying to build up a story with these different words? Pant Gwyn is also the swine's pelvis. So even though it is in a valley, I mean, if you look at a pelvic, just the bones of a pelvis, it also forms hollow. So it could describe the pelvic hollow. And Gwyn, which can mean pain, ache, pang. So, and it can also, well, it could be indicating the act of giving birth from the pelvis to a bee in a grain.
Yeah. So
when I add all these words together, what I'm trying to do is trying to build up a story. Like I said, I think it's just one giant manuscript, and you've got to try and find a way of reading it then.
Yeah. Adam, do you notice how similar this is to how your dad works on?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
things?
I mean, this is it. Steve, I don't know how much. Have you seen any of the stuff with my dad? And
I have, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, he blows my mind sometimes, and
yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for anyone who hasn't, you can go and have a look at the videos I've got on the channel about the Bardic code. But as we're talking about place names and everything like that, having these hidden manuscripts in them. Stones had the same thing. These could have been, I guess, like just someone who can read them can decode what they're trying to say, and it's like a living library. It's just amazing.
A very small piece of a very short just a name or word or phrase can then open out into giving you a whole selection of ideas. And it just comes back to the idea of a mnemonic again, doesn't it? Someone could be taught all these things from birth, and all they just need is that one little reminder, just that little twig, just to go, now from that word, I've now got a 2-hour-long story I can tell people, or
It's amazing.
Which is essential for an oral culture. I mean,
yeah.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
It makes sense. All these stones in Britain and Wales that are said to be in bad Latin, they didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know what they were spelling. What actually, what they could have been doing is, it's just a code you don't know how to read, and it looks a bit like that. And it's like they knew exactly what they were doing and how to. They're not stupid people, It's incredible. I'm loving this.
And when I, like I said, I'm quite willing to do 4 or 5 more of these, or in fact, I'm quite willing to keep on releasing stuff at a periodic time until I do finish this book. Because some of the stuff which I will hold back could be a book on itself, but the star map stuff. So yeah,
great. I think it's a story that needs to be told. So
Absolutely. That
I'd be quite happy to cover it.
I mean, absolutely. As long as people are willing to listen and they're interested, I'd be willing to do more.
Fantastic.
Well, I'm willing to listen, so
so am I. So
if me and Adam are willing to listen, it doesn't really matter about everyone else.
that's okay then. I mean, because the way the length of time it's taken me to write this book, I don't know how long it's going to take, and I think some of this needs to get out there now, like so. Yeah. So
me and Adam have this opinion on quite a few different things, don't we, Adam?
That
some of it just needs to be out so people can work on it and look at it. And
that's it. Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying everything I'm putting forward is correct. I'm expecting people to come along, pick it apart, and say, "Well, I understand that bit, But it's given, hopefully, it's given people enough ideas, or even just by using the words, all the different meanings, I'm joining them together and trying to form a sentence.
Right. Sorry. Can we pause again? I'm going to have to do my usual skip.
Okay, this is a more detailed map. So if you can see at the bottom, you've got Omicron Andromedae, where the pig's head is. That's where those set of 4 canes are. And then up the top, you got Pant Gwyn. The location of the star would be to the left of that, but that's the farm name.
Okay, yeah.
And then where you've got, I've written Wood of the Swine. So right in the middle of this constellation, you've got Coed y Moch, the Wood of the Swine. So you've got the swine, the Wood of the Swine, right in between the two.
Yeah.
Which to me is, and I know a lot of the constellations like that. You got a constellation, and then you got a name there, which will tell you what the constellation is.
So, right, okay, I see what you mean. So, like almost like a general name for the area that gives you the constellation, and then more specific points for the stars.
Yeah, so you've got Coed y Moch, so it's the Wood of the swine constellation, the swine's there. I mean, the stars match where they should be, which it makes an interesting discussion then of what is that hill fort at Tumbalum.
Yeah.
Who built it and when was it built? Was it built at the same time as this star map?
Yeah.
Because isn't they
how much information did they know from the previous generations? Or
whether there is a relationship between them, I don't know, but
because Tumbalum is one of these hill forts that is generally considered older than Iron Age, isn't it? I thought. I could be wrong, but I know that quite a lot of hill forts actually have a Bronze Age, if not a Neolithic foundation.
Yeah.
So I've definitely looked at something at the archaeology of Tumbalum fairly recently, but it's obviously not stuck in my head very well. But I definitely have been left with the idea that it's certainly the mound is definitely older than Iron Age.
Yeah. Or the mound on the end.
Yeah, the mound on the end. Yeah.
Yeah, because on the modern surveys, it's marked as a mott.
No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had a look at them and think, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, mots are in population centres if they're anywhere. You wouldn't stick it on the top of a hill. No.
And then with that swine, is just one other thing on this. He's got Mynydd Lloyd. It is that be north of where this constellation is, and so yeah. So in relationship to that is so it's in the right location. It's got the name there. The one set of canes is bang on for Omicron Andromedae, and it's just finding the other one then. And the story seems to fit, coming all the way through and landing in this spot.
Amazing. So we are literally, just by the foothills of Mynydd Lloyd.
Yeah.
Just where the Hen Wen is meant to lie.
Yeah.
And we have references possibly to childbirth around the pelvis area as well, specifically. That's brilliant.
It's amazing.
It does say that she lies down at the foothills of Mynydd Lloyd at Maes Gwynedd. Now there is a Maes Gwynedd in the lowlands to the east, but there's nothing there to. I mean, Maes Gwynedd could have just meant all of that land.
Yeah, it'd be a general term.
Yeah, yeah. And it's only that one because it's outside the star map anyway, so it's not part of it.
Considering you've still got, Gwyn in the area, the suggestive, isn't it? That it's a wider name.
So, Coed y Moch, the word moch. So, can you, when you go?
I think you're breaking there a bit, Steve.
Yeah, we're losing you, Steve.
Yeah, look.
Still go.
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, we lost you for a bit
back.
there.
Yeah.
All right. Where was I?
You just said Coed y Moch.
Coed y Moch. Right, so Coed y Moch, so the word moch means swine. There's an association between the swine and Jupiter. So can you use that word then, moch, to find places on the star map which represent the planet Jupiter?
I did wonder how Jupiter would come back into it because we. Interesting.
There's nothing on this slideshow.
No.
There is one of the stars of Cassiopeia. I use a modern term. Where that star is, there's an association with that star and Jupiter. And the name of the wood there is Coed y Moch.
Coed y Moch.
Brilliant.
And
then everything just keeps coming back round, doesn't it? Yeah.
That's not the only way you can find Jupiter. I mean, you can also use the word Bran, as in raven, because there's an association between the raven and Jupiter as well.
Okay.
And
really,
and not far from here, you have a little valley called Cumbran, the valley of Jupiter, you could say, going into the main town of Cumbran. But that's an explanation needs another time. Otherwise, it'll be for hours.
So, do you think there are other stories, myths, legends in Wales that can lead to certain constellations? Is this something else in?
Yeah. The Mabinogi has a way Wilson and Blackett translated it and put the ideas through in the Ark of the Covenant. There are two of them that I've been able to work out on the ground as well. Now they did the Dream of Ron Abwe, and then there's two, but one is Paul, Lord of David, or Prince of David, and oh, what's the other one called? Branwen.
Oh, I know this.
Oh, yeah. Basically, that's the one about the flood.
Yes, yeah, Brahman and the Flood, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, and you can work out from that possibly even the height of the flood.
No way.
Wow.
Possibly, because you've got all these different place names, and if the water came to us, for these place names to be what they're called, the water needs to have come to a certain level, which is about 40 meters, I think, above sea level.
That's high.
Yeah, but it might not have been a flood as in a flood. It might have been like a tidal wave.
Yeah, tsunami sort of thing.
Tsunami,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't mean it necessarily came up to that level and stayed at that level, but
no.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not much left to go now. So this is a Sumerian Babylonian tale, the Epic of Anzu. So the Anzu figure is a lion-headed eagle. And this is a very, very brief summary because there's only 2 lines. So basically, the Anzu steals a tablet of destinies from Enlil, and then Enlil gets Ninurta. Sometimes it's Marduk to go and retrieve them, and then Ninurta in this version defeats Anzu and gets the tablets of destiny back. So this quote now from Stephanie Daly is in this Mesopotamia is, "Listen to the praise of the powerful one's strength, who subdued, who bound the mountain of stones in his fury, who conquered soaring Anzu with his weapon." Now, Gavin White believes that the Anzu is represented in the night sky as a constellation of Cygnus.
Right.
So on the right, then you've got a partial map of the night sky. And if you look, you've got Andromeda, then Lacerta, and then Cygnus. So if we go back to the other map in a minute, but you got one's above the other, so it should be bump, bump, bump. And then so Deneb, or Alpha Cygni, is located on Mynydd Main, where it's circled the middle one. And it basically extends over 3 mountains. And the relationship, then you've got Andromeda, Lacerta, and Cygnus, one on top of the other. And the Anzu bird Ninurta conquers Anzu and binds Stone Mountain, or the Mountain of Stones. And where that main star is Mynydd Main, which is Stone Mountain. But before I put this in here, but before that, the story mentions how excuse me, how they 2 seconds. How they build cattle pens then and sheep pens, and just where the M is on Mynydd Main, on the side of the hill you've got a place called Biart Main, and Biart means cattle pen, sheepfold. So 2 references from that story are on that mountain where Cygnus would be, and is in the right relationship to the other constellation and the constellation of the swine.
Wow.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. That must be really satisfying for you when you find these things. It's just as a way of checking yourself, basically.
Yeah.
You know, if you find something, you're like, oh wow, okay, right.
Well, when I first started finding these things, I honestly thought somebody was playing a practical joke on me.
Really?
I said, surely this can't be right.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah.
Alan Wilson teasing you from from the other land.
Well, some of these books I thought, oh, he hasn't written these other books and used a different name, has he? And then
that actually reminds me of how when Alan Wilson would deal with the subject of people saying that British history is a forgery, and he's saying, "What are you talking about? thousands of monks over 1,000 years, all working together with
Yeah.
with church, church dedications, genealogies, place names,
Yeah.
and they've all been working together for this grand portrait. No, I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. You've got so many things here that confirm and at least work with the other ideas. I think that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. This is only scratching the surface at the moment.
I think it's a great introduction to into the subject.
Yeah, because when you think it was 40 constellations roughly, and this is just one. I'm touching on the second one, and then you got all the stories on top of it to add.
Yeah, absolutely.
To add to the constellations, because you need to know the constellations before you can work out the stories.
Wow.
But yeah, if people are interested in me doing another one, I was going to do what I call Enki and the Search for Eridu, where you could possibly find the representation of Eridu on the ground. What's representing Eridu on the ground then?
Could you just give a quick overview of Eridu for our listeners?
It's basically the Enki built the first city at a place called Eridu, which is the name of the city. He built it on the edge of the Iraqi swamp marshes. Obviously, the marshes have moved over time, but the place of Eridu, when you go to Iraq, is further away from the swamps because the swamps have moved.
Okay,
but,
yeah.
So it was built on the edge of a swamp, and it was the first city, and it was Enki's city.
Yeah. So you think there is a place in Wales that represents Eridu as well?
Yeah, and Nippur and Aruk and Sipar.
Wow.
Yeah, they're not the real Babylon itself.
Yeah.
But they're not the real cities.
No.
They're out of Mesopotamia. These are represented. You could say there's a mountain then with a name that represent that city, because certain cities have association with certain constellations.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, no, I've come across that before in Wilson and Blackett and elsewhere as well.
Yeah. So there's all these different cities then that you can find on the.
What a brilliant way to bring a landscape under your control, or and I don't mean in terms of controlling people or anything like that, but to basically map it through something that you are so already familiar with, either the zodiac, which you can look up to at any point and see, but also where you're from, and then as say, lay that over this new landscape that you've come to.
Yeah.
And then immediately you've got it. Basically, it's yours. There's no hidden secrets. You can map. You can organize. You can.
Well, it's got something else, but it's got to the point where if I'm going somewhere, all right, I'm going to Leo. I'm not that I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to there. So when I'm driving around the valleys, I don't go by the place names half the time now. I go by the constellation names.
Yeah,
really.
And I mean, I remember you having this conversation with Ross because I think Angie suggested it.
That was it, yeah.
As a map, and Ross said, oh look, I'm ask a local, and the local says, oh, this is Orion's Belt Farm, and you think, oh wow, I'm at Orion's Belt, I need to get to this place, and that's that way, so I gotta go this way. That's brilliant. Absolutely amazing.
So cool.
I think the history is really interesting as well, because this period that Wilson and Blackett reckon Albine came, and seems to be within the first couple of hundred years of Babylonian civilization, from what I've looked on Wikipedia. So our timing looks about right for a Babylonian star map as well.
is that this is called the Middle Bronze Age by British archaeology. I need to have a look into why they have split the Bronze Age into
Right.
early Bronze Age, Middle
Yeah.
Bronze Age, and late Bronze
Yeah.
Age, because it's normally to do with some sort of change in the archaeological goods. Representing something happened in Britain at that time, which is why they haven't just split it arbitrarily. You know, they've split it for a reason. So it'd be really interesting to see what the Middle Bronze Age means to British archaeology.
Yeah.
And I mean, all I can say is locally, that's when there was a huge explosion of settled living on Dartmoor. It's when all the roundhouses will be, when they at the moment, because just like in Wales, there's limited archaeology and limited dating on a lot of sites, but generally that's when it's seen as an explosion of activity on Dartmoor in that Middle Bronze Age period. And there's no doubt that Babylonians would have been after tin. So very much so. So I think this is a fascinating period, and I think you're at least the rough chunk of when you reckon this was put together flies well with me so far. Definitely.
I can't be certain, like, but
no.
But yeah, it's hopefully it's an introduction which people can sort of it asks more questions and gives answers. It's one way, but what I'm in the next one or the next one, whatever, what I'm hoping to do is get people to look at it in a different way. To start to read it, then, if that makes
with you.
Isn't it like
because you do have to develop a part like a brain to digest this stuff, don't you? And like, it takes a little bit of time to get round to that, but then it does eventually come through. And that's true with like the hieroglyphs or decoding things with language, all of it, it seems.
And until you sort of sinks in, and there's probably a bed with, and you go, right, and then you see these names over and over again, and you see that place name matches that part, and
got ya.
Brilliant.
But with like I said, if people are interested, I'll do Enki in the search for Eridu next.
That sounds fantastic.
That sounds fantastic. Yeah.
And then that will touch upon how they use the landscape, the shape of the landscape, how they fit into certain images, then, let's say it that way. Because you can put images of like certain gods and that over the landscape, and the names match around that image.
See, this is definitely an advantage that you seem to have in Wales, and that Hugh Evans as well points towards as having these place names and having the Welsh language in order to be able to understand them.
I mean, I think it'd be not impossible, but very difficult not to do it.
Well, with what we've been looking at Martin's work, he's sort of, we're grasping at various more recent tales and names that do seem to link these things together. But they do help a lot, but it doesn't give you the same sort of it doesn't flesh out the story as much, and it doesn't give you the same amount of detail as that you get with the Welsh language. It's often just a little signpost that sort of says, look over here, there might be something interesting. But it definitely doesn't flesh it out like the Welsh language does. That's absolutely fantastic. And I like also the idea that Martin's looking at something which very much we can put in the Neolithic, and the same goes for Hugh's, if not. I mean, if Hugh Evans isn't even older than Neolithic, I mean, God knows what he's dealing with. But the idea of information going from Britain to Sumeria and then back again, you know, almost as if there were people building star maps here, went to the Middle East and then came back and continued to build star maps here. You know, it's as part of some sort of tradition or or just a way of going about things. You know, it's just
Mm.
something they just did in certain places. I just
Yeah, and then you got the Epic of Gilgamesh. If I can remember this now. Basically, Gilgamesh writes down all his adventures on a monument of stone. So there's an argument that this is actually a monument,
yeah,
recording certain things that occurred in the past.
and written
Yeah,
in stone doesn't necessarily have to mean written on the stone, does
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
And like I said, I'd have to go back but I'm sure it was Gilgamesh. No, I can't think. But one of the characters, anyway, went around the world rebuilding the temples. So if they went around the world rebuilding the temples, they rebuilt them for a reason. After what, I don't know. And is what because it's definitely, you can read what's around you.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me that there was some kind of event. I don't know. And that event has been immortalized in the landscape as a monument, not to warn people, but as a monument. I mean, we still have cemeteries and monuments to fallen heroes or fallen people in the past.
Cenotaphs,
it's something that people do. We build these monuments. So have we built a monument to record the loss of, or the death of, God knows how many people?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, fascinating. Brilliant.
This is awesome.
Hopefully, as I go along, I won't be able to give you the answers, but I might be able to suggest things then and say, well, this is a possibility.
Absolutely. I think that's the fairest way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Well, cheers, Steve.
No worries.
Thank you very much.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that was the last one.
Yeah.
That was the last one.
We'll record a little intro in a mo.
Yeah.